Hey folks, Pat here from DNS, and this Madison area fishing report is current as of Friday, June 27th. Happy Friday, everybody. We made it through another week. It's been super duper busy here this morning, so hopefully we can knock this report out before we get started. Just a couple things. I made a post earlier in the week about the review of this Chapter 71. This, of course, is the ordinance that regulates flotation devices on our frozen Madison lakes, so Mendota, Monona, and Wingra. The county is reviewing that ordinance, and on the county's website here, they have a page dedicated to kind of explaining what that ordinance means, and then a chance for the public to provide comments. You just click on the button here, brings up this little page, and you can type away. Let them know what you think about the ordinance and what you'd like to see changed. The comment period will be open until July 15th, so get in there. You can either just Google Chapter 71 Public Comment Dane County. That'll come up, or you can find the link on our YouTube or Instagram and make your voice heard. It's warm out. It's been warm. It's going to be warm. Water temps are going to be a big part of this report. And I do want to just remind folks, if you're fishing trout, you're going to want to avoid fishing for trout if it's 67 degrees or up. So you're going to want to have something that you can check water temps with. Same thing with muskies. If it's 80 degrees or higher, they recommend that you don't fish for muskies. So I'll go through that more in the report, but just wanted to let folks know that it's time to start thinking about that stuff. Another thing that's good to be thinking about too is weeds that are coming up. So this is just more of just like a public service thing here. A lot of weeds coming up out there, and some of them are nasty. So nettles, pain in everybody's everything really if you run into them. This is what nettles look like, kind of a plain looking plant. Doesn't look like much, but if you look closely on them, they got these nasty little hairs that can poke into you, and they burn and maybe can make blisters and stuff like that if you're not careful. So do look out for those plants, and I absolutely hate them, but there's one plant I hate even more, and that is wild parsnip. So wild parsnip is kind of deceiving. It's kind of this pretty little yellow flower or whatever, and these plants grow pretty tall too. So but the deal with these is if they you get these flowers, if they bump you in the face or on any exposed skin, they have a sap that's photoreactive. So the sun will cause that sap to burn your skin and cause blisters, and it's super nasty stuff. Once the blisters are gone, it leaves a dark spot on your skin for basically the rest of the summer. So when it's brown like this, though, it's totally harmless. But right now it's blooming. These plants can be like over your head sometimes, but usually about shoulder height, and you do want to watch out for them. So I see them on the side of the road. I see them at all the shore. I do a lot of shore fishing, and so I see them pretty much everywhere. It's the bane of my existence, this plant. So do look out for it. It is nasty, and yeah, I just wanted to remind folks to be careful for those plants. A little bit of shop news. We have leeches. Just got another batch of leeches in a little bit ago this morning, and I talked to my bait guy. He said they're going to be tapering off here in about a week or two. So yeah, as far as quality goes, so I might even stop carrying them after a couple weeks here, but maybe even a week. But anyway, stop in and stock up if you want leeches, because that is fleeting. It's frogging time, friggin' frogging time. I've been saying that for a couple weeks. One thing I have failed to mention, and I apologize for that, is that we have these new lures by Snag Proof. It's called a Zoo Dog. If you're familiar with the hard bait Zara Spook, great, classic topwater lure, been around forever. This is basically like a cross between that and a frog. So it's got a hollow body like a topwater frog, and it's got turned up hooks like a topwater frog. But you can bomb these things out there. And I've been selling them to some folks. They've been doing actually very well with them, and actually hard to keep. These are the last two I have in stock. Hopefully getting some more this afternoon. But anyway, come check out the Zoo Dog. They're great. You can walk the dog with them, just like a Zara Spook. And yeah, folks have been really liking them. Like I mentioned, heat is a common theme these days here in town. If you want to keep your worms cool, pick up a little cooler pack. We sell them here with a frozen freeze pack, ready to go. So pick those up. It's important to keep your bait cool this time of year. And if you're checking water temps, especially on the trout streams, this is just a simple meat thermometer you can buy anywhere. But I also have fancy ones here by Fish Pond that you can put on a fishing vest or something. Announcements around the area. I guess there's a blood drive still going on up July 15th up the street. And then the fine folks at Line Workers are doing a couple fundraisers for Kalen Hoggart, who's taking a trip to Italy to compete in the World Fly Casting Championship representing Team USA. So a little fundraiser for him. Looks like the 16th. They have a casting challenge, and then on the August 5th, they got a fly tying fest. So yeah, that looks pretty cool. And yeah, check those out if you like. I think that pretty much does it for announcements. We can get into the report here. Oh, as far as tournaments go, it looks like there's a 60 boat, or I guess I should say 60 kayak bass tournament on a Saturday, and that covers the whole chain. I can't imagine those folks have to launch out of one launch, so they're going to be spread out. You probably won't even notice them, but there is a 60 boat kayak bass tournament on Saturday. Nothing going on the DNR site for Sunday that I saw. Last weekend and early part of this week was a blazer out there. Temps in the 90s. We got over 3 inches of rain between Monday and Wednesday. I thought it was going to cool things down, but I don't know about you. I don't consider the upper 80s to be very cool either. It is gorgeous today. It's not even 80 degrees out right now. It looks like the weekend's going to be a little warmer and into next week, but temps in the mid 80s. You know, it's summer, so that's what you expect, and some great opportunities to get out and do some fishing. The Mendota buoy was reading 77 degrees when I got in this morning. It's probably a little bit higher right now. It was just a 5-degree jump from last week, which shows you what those warm temps can do. Again, as far as other temps go on the other lakes, you can take that 77 degrees and pretty reliably add 2 degrees as you move down the chain. So you got 77, 78 degrees here. You're looking at 80 degrees on Lake Monona, and even warmer as you go down, and that's not safe for muskies. So you might want to give those fish a break until things cool down a bit. Generally speaking, though, around the chain, we are on the tail end of spawning activity here on the Madison chain, with bluegills being about the only ones left. Kegonsa is completely done. There are probably still a few bluegills spawning on Wabisa, but they're going to be out a little deeper. Gills are definitely still on beds on Monona. I found them on Tuesday evening I was out. Or no. Anyway, I was out earlier this week and I found them. But they were out a little bit deeper, the ones I found. The shallow water beds are pretty much empty. But on Lake Monona, or Mendota, they are still actively spawning out there. So, look for shallow water and, maybe some sand, gravel, a little bit of weeds. You'll probably find some gills. So, and I do want to encourage folks, if you're fishing for those spawning fish, at least please release them so we can continue to have the outstanding fishery we have here in town. Otherwise, weeds are starting to get pretty thick in many shallow areas around town, causing some headaches for shore anglers. But if you can find pockets or fish weed edges, the pan fishing's been great. For gills, spikes, or waxworms on a nice jig, or redworms on a little bit bigger jig are working well for those fish. For crappies, crappie minnows, or a small minnow-shaped plastic under a jig under a bobber is a pretty safe bet. Bass anglers have been doing well with any number of presentations, but again, with the weeds getting thick, weedless plastics and topwater frogs have been the most effective way to catch those fish. Walleye anglers are still in a pretty good mood, but if you're fishing from shore, it's starting to get a little difficult with the weeds and water temps coming up. But if you're in a boat, work rocky shoreline breaks near shallow flats if you're fishing during the day, and move up into those shallow flats if you're fishing at night or early in the morning. Walleye are also being picked up on mid-lake humps these days, as is typical for this time of year. But no matter where you fish on the live bait side of things, minnows will still catch fish, but the leeches have been working very well lately. If it's pike you're after, they'll grab just about any lure you throw at them, but our large shiners are a pretty safe bet on the live bait side of things. I haven't heard much in the way of muskie action. In fact, I was talking to Noah Humfeld yesterday. I think he heard that the Tuesday night Muskie League folks only have one muskie in the boat this whole season so far. So, yeah, things are slow out there for the old musk. Otherwise, working lures over the tops of submerged weeds and, of course, weed edges are probably your best bet. If it's and we do have muskie suckers here. And again, if it's muskies you're after, please do watch water temperatures if the water's over 80 degrees. And like I said, too, at the trout, 67 degrees or higher, go find something else to do. And at the end of every report, I always do a happy fly day feature. Today we'll be talking about smallmouth flies, because if it's warm, I always just say, screw the trout fishing, and I go look for smallmouth, we have some fantastic smallmouth fishing in the area. A little more detail up here. Up on Cherokee, the weeds are super thick up there. You could still fish some in topwater, maybe one of those zoo dogs up there and catch fish. And folks are doing well with topwater frogs. But if you got a small, otherwise it's really tough with the weeds up there. But otherwise, if you've got a small craft and you can launch at the school road launch, get out in the channel and find some easier casting and some bass and some good pike action out there. And of course, some panfish to be caught too. On the 113 bridge area, the catfish have moved out. I'm not saying completely. You probably still catch a cat or two in there. But for the most part, those fish are done spawning and have moved back out into Lake Mendota, where they just kind of cruise around now and just eat and enjoy the rest of the summer. So you'll find them oftentimes along shore. You could catch them trolling for walleyes, though. You never really know. But, folks get them pan fishing and folks get them cat fishing. So you never really know. But Tenney Park's a popular spot. The Warner Park Breakwall is popular. Governor's Island. Anywhere, pick a point. You can literally catch catfish anywhere. So they're out cruising around again. And you'll just catch them randomly. As far as like panfish panfish go, bluegills are still on beds, like I said. You're looking for shallow flats generally. U Bay down here, North Bay. This east end of the lake. Actually, anywhere shallow, less than 10 feet of water, you'll probably you can find beds. The thing on Mendota is it's tough. It's not like Monona where they're just fields and fields of beds. It's like you might find 10 beds here and 6 beds here, and so it can be a little difficult finding them. But they are out there and they are on beds. As far as smallmouth bass or largemouth bass, we'll talk about, they're off beds now and they got their post-spawn feed bag on. Smallmouth bass are still being found in rocky shoreline areas, but also starting to move to little deeper rocky shoreline breaks. Maple Bluff, Governor's Island, Picnic Point, but shoreline breaks are good. Walleyes can still be found on those same shoreline breaks. A little deeper during the day, shallower when you get towards night, but they're also being found on mid-lake humps. So areas like Dunn's Bar, Brearley Bar, Second Point are all good options, and they'll be out there pretty much the rest of the summer till fall when they start to move back in. Let's see. Pike are pretty much everywhere. You throw pretty much anything out there and you catch pike. But the Tenny Park Breakwall has been a nice mixed bag of fish out there. Never really know what you'll find. And same thing below the locks. They've been catching walleye, bluegill, any number of white bass, smallmouth, largemouth bass up and down the river. So that action is pretty much like an early morning thing or evening, so low light periods. Over on Monona then, like I said, the bluegills are wrapping things up. You can still find gills. I was out. I found them deeper than I had been catching them the last few weeks, but they are definitely still out there. The weeds are getting pretty thick. I was still getting them on topwater, so that was obviously a lot of fun. But besides all the great shoreline access we have, areas like Turville Bay, Weechawuk, formerly known as Squaw Bay, and then Monona Bay, of course, always has some good panfish in there. Other panfish like crappies have moved back towards the wall, and they will be hanging out there the rest of the summer. They enjoy the shade that the wall provides and the cooler temperatures there. Bluegill fishing's been a little slow off the wall. That's probably because they're off doing their thing spawning on other places of the lake, but they'll probably be back here as the spawn wraps up. I guess there's been a good bass bite over here in Monona Bay. Also a good bass bite in Lake Winger. Some real giants in there, and muskies. But if you want to keep a kid busy, Lake Winger is great. A lot of tiny bluegills, and they're always eager and hungry. Same thing below the dam here at the Winger Dam. A lot of panfish like to hang out below there. Let's see. Upper Mud, I haven't really heard much off Upper Mud recently, but the dredge hole over here, usually like this time of year, the weed lines are great panfish spot. And the weeds in the shallow flats around the dredge hole can be good for bass, although the weeds are getting pretty thick over there. So you're going to want to be looking probably at topwater or weedless stuff. Down on Wabisa, like I said, the gills are, let's just call it done down there. You might still find some out deep, but gills are pretty much done. So look at weed lines, look at pockets in weeds for panfish. Crappies you might find in there. Crappies down along the southeast shoreline here, and some of the rocky areas too. If you can find some wood, that's good too. Otherwise, as far as walleyes go, I've been hearing about a little action near Hog Island over here, and then the area between like Rockford Heights, Babcock, and Bible Camp down here. The South Bay too, lots of gills down there and lots of weeds, and bass are up shallow pretty much everywhere. On Keeganza, same thing. The fish are done down there, but if you can find weed edges, I've been hearing about some nice bluegill action down there, and the area along the state park over here has some good walleye action. Probably more of a night thing right now with these hot, sunny days that we have. Down on the Rock River, hearing about a nice mixed bag of fish. A few catfish I've been hearing about at Indian Ford and then up at Jefferson. As far as Kashkanan goes, I hear about some walleye and some white bass out there, but it's mostly a trolling game this time of year. But if trolling's your thing, have at it. Beaver Dam, a lot of good catfishing to be had up there, good eater-sized fish. Although I heard it's been a little slower this year than years past. Devil's Lake, haven't heard much in the way of trout. The Wisconsin River is running a little bit high right now from all the rain we got earlier in the week, but it is coming down, and it is very fishable right now too. So, but the river is pretty much on cruise control the rest of the year. So all your dams going to be a nice mixed bag of fish. You never really know what you'll find: catfish, white bass, anything. If you're fishing the river itself, you're going to find a lot of smallmouth and walleye. So look to outside bends on the river. Look to downstream areas on sandbars, going to be deeper down there. Also wood along the shoreline is good. And all the way up and down the river. If you're canoeing or just doing a nice little float, it's a great way to find some fish. Park at a sandbar and fish the deep side. or just hit that wood on your way through. Lake Wisconsin, hearing about some good panfish action. Shallow valleys or bays like the Grade. Hearing about some good walleye action and saugers in the lake, although size has been a bit of an issue. And same thing up, like I said, all the dams on all the rivers are just gonna have a nice mixed bag of fish. So you got the Dells, you got Castle Rock, you got Pete and Hall. You know the drill. So over on the Mississippi River, I don't talk to many people fishing over there this time of year, other than folks that are going over to the barges. And the fishing is summertime fishing over there. A lot of sturgeon, white bass, occasional walleye or pike, stuff like that. Over to Milwaukee, the charters out on the big lake, they're still getting some cohos, but it seems like the king salmon are more the name of the game, and it sounds like some good catches coming in there. Otherwise, in the not much happening at the harbors that I know about. Otherwise, the Milwaukee River has great smallmouth and pike action and is very wadeable. So that's worth a look if you're over in that neighborhood. Otherwise, we'll just do our trout fishing feature here. Happy Fly Day, everybody. Like I said, the water temps are going to be the main thing you're going to want to be checking this time of year. So again, 67 degrees or warmer. Give those fish a break and do some smallmouth fishing. If you do find cold water, though, on the spinning gear side of things, suspending or sinking jerk baits like Rapala Husky jerks or countdowns work. Crappie-sized tube jigs are great. Panther martins are hard to beat. Really the ultimate trout catching lure is just a redworm under a bobber, really. If you're doing flies, all your nymphs will work. Beadhead pheasant tails, caddis nymphs, scuds, and of course woolly buggers always catch fish. If it's dry fly action you're looking for, hatches are going to be limited mostly to mornings and evenings now for the rest of the summer. Blue-winged olives and caddis, you might find those early in the morning or right before sundown. The hex hatch that I've been talking about these last few weeks is pretty much done. I guess I'm not even looking at the flies here. But we got the nymphs here, woolly buggers, caddis and blue-winged olives there. Here's the hex. That is a super fun hatch to fish, but it's pretty much done here as far as the southern half of the state goes. You're going to have to go up north to find good hex hatches anymore. Otherwise, if you're fishing trout streams, it's hard to beat terrestrials now. So ants and these little flying ants are great. The flatwing ants, awesome. Beetles are good. And I did just get a re-up on a bunch of terrestrials, so crickets are awesome. Not quite hopper season yet, but that's coming. But when the water does get warm, it is best to give the fish a break. So like to say here it says 68. I most of the stuff I read says 67. But anyway, if it's going to be hot, go out to the Wisconsin River, put on some sandals, and just wade around and smoke some smallmouth bass. It's a ton of fun. We just got re-upped on a bunch of topwater flies, gurglers, got traditional poppers, mice flies. If you're fishing trout at night can be awesome when the water cools down. Otherwise, Aztec Fly ties these awesome unholy divers, which are great for smallmouth and pike on the river. And then, of course, Ben Lipchansky, a very talented tyer, ties all these these meaty things. He has mini meaty things and jiggy meaty things. Murdich minnows are super awesome on the river. And then you can't really see them here, but crease flies also are very effective, and some crayfish patterns. So smallmouth bass fishing, not only on the Wisconsin River, but on some of the other small rivers, Sugar River, Pecatonica River, Rock River, are all awesome rivers for smallies. So get out there and do some of that if it's too hot to be fishing trout. I think that pretty much does it for the report. I do want to thank you for tuning in. As always, post your comments and catches below. We love to see that. Feel free to call the shop at 241-4225 if you have any questions on anything. Otherwise, stay cool out there. Watch your water temps. Good luck, and thanks for tuning in. We will talk to you next week. Thanks so much.